everybody! In this video, we're going to see data types that we're already familiar with from the MATLAB unit of this course. We're just going to see how they work in Python. So those data types being integers, floating point numbers, and Boolean values. So let's start by defining a variable z. Let's say z is equal to 10 or divided by 2. So if I ask you what's 10 divided by 2, you'll say 5. So let's evaluate this, and we can check, well, is z equal to 5? So we can say z and then double equals 5. So exactly the same as MATLAB. And if we evaluate this, we see that MATLAB returns true. So notice here the capital T gives there's a capital T here, and that's very important. So for instance, if I do type and I just type true, this gives me bool for Boolean. On the other hand, if I try something like type of true, it says, well, true is not defined. So one thing to keep in mind is true with a capital T. One way you can know that you're on the right track is you can see true gets highlighted in all green here. Similarly, I can have the keyword false. So if I do type of false, Boolean, but really need the capital F with a lowercase, it wouldn't work. So, okay, going back up here, yes, 10 divided by 2, so 5 is equal to 5. That's looking pretty good so far. But let's see an example of where things kind of start to go wrong. So remember, in the last video, we introduced the range object. So I'm going to do range of 5. Remember, what this does is you can think of it as indexing 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's our range object. That's fine. Well, z should be 5, right? So let's do range of z. But here we get an error, and it's saying float object cannot be interpreted as an integer. So what this error is saying is range, I have to pass it an integer value. So here I passed it 5. 5 is an integer. That's great. But somehow when we say z, it's saying, well, I don't know what to do with this floating point object. And you can think of floats as being decimals, so decimal numbers. So let's actually check, well, what's the type of z? And we can see here is, well, Python's saying, well, this is a floating point number. It's not an integer. So what's going on here is when we say z is equal to 10 divided by 2, so even though we're taking a quotient of 2 integers and 10 is divisible by 2, what MATLAB is doing is saying, well, because I'm dividing, this is going to be a floating point number. So the key here is we need to be very careful with floats. And an example, again, of where things can go wrong is if I say, okay, what's 0.1 plus 0.1 plus 0.1? Well, if I asked you, you should say 0.3. I can check, is this equal to 0.3? And MATLAB, sorry, not MATLAB, I keep saying that. If I say MATLAB, I really mean Python. I've been recording a lot of MATLAB videos recently, so bear with me for the Python transition. But what Python is saying is, well, this is not equal to 0.3. So what's the takeaway from this is these floating point errors can happen in any context. So when dealing with them, you need to be very, very careful. So here, there's just slight rounding errors going on, and kind of it's not behaving as we would expect. So that's all I want to say for this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.